Okay, so you mentioned in a previous video that you have been waking up at the butt crack of dawn. So I've got 7 weeks left of a cut and my sleep is horrendous. Waking up at 3 a.m. every night and I just cannot get back to sleep. Oh girl, I feel ya. I have had so many of those nights. It's not funny. Do you have any tips to get through this? I do drink 4 coffees each day, but I stop by 10 a.m. That's wonderful. Is that too much? And should I eat something at 3 to try and get back to sleep? Or is this cortisol? Big old question mark. So the first thing that I want to say is I guess we do have to temper our expectations a little bit when it comes to sleep. It is a natural outcome of caloric restriction. You know, your body is trying to keep you alive. And in order to do that, it's going to be telling you to eat. So not only is it harder to fall asleep, you are much more easily woken. And I think in these particular instances, one of the things I have had to make a real habit of is not drinking any more cans of soda. Like after 6 p.m., I have to just do sips only. If I have another full can of soda between the hours of like 7 and when I go to bed, I am just like, I just can't fall asleep, or I just feel like I've got to pee the whole night. I'm such a light sleeper. If you aren't cutting back on your fluids like after 6, I would say try to prioritize that. And then in terms of staying asleep, I guess making sure that you've got all of the conditions in your kind of space in the evenings nice and dull, so that your natural melatonin secretion can start to increase, which is going to help you get a better night's sleep. If you've got lots of bright lights still on in the house, like I've got 2 really big lights that sit here, which sometimes I forget to turn off if I've been doing my coaching check-ins. So I've got these big bright lights too, and I might be working at 11:30, and that's like 30 minutes away from like when I'm trying to think about bedtime. Not a good situation. So, you know, wherever I can remember, I will make sure that I switch those big lights off and work in a slightly darker lit room. The blue light blockers, if you haven't got some, get some. They are fantastic. I do use those. They're fantastic. And then also having a good wind down routine. So again, if you can avoid it, I know it's not always possible, but you know, don't read emails. Don't be sitting on your phone with the bright light setting on. If anything, kind of moving your way from any kind of activities that are going to stimulate your brain into thought. If you've got a very stressful job or you've got a lot of things going on at the moment, I think sometimes the best thing to do is kind of around that dinner time mark, get your dump list. I have like a brain dump. This is really helpful to kind of get everything that you are or have on your mind out of your brain onto paper so that you don't try and continue to forget it. Because I think one of the things that we do when we do have a lot going on is that we're just worried we're not going to remember our lists. And that when you've got lots of things on, that's really important to be able to remember and to not forget. So you don't want to have any, you know, negative impacts in your career, or like forget your children's after school activity, or worse, forget your kids. So that brain dump is really important. And then try to let go of everything else, you know, in the evenings. I'm really struggling with that because that's the only time that I have to do all of my administrative type tasks, or, you know, do extra programs. Like right now I'm in the middle of writing out 4 new programs for the workout app that are a little different to how I like to train, but I know there are, you know, other people who have different goals. So, you know, I'm like so motivated to do new programs for people. So, you know, I'm struggling with that part, but I do try to do everything else that I can within my power to make sure that I'm getting to bed and then, you know, have a good night's sleep. It's not uncommon for competitors to actually take a melatonin supplement or any of the other kind of over-the-counter sleep aids. I usually take anywhere between 3 and 5 milligrams of melatonin about an hour before I go to bed. I haven't done it this prep because my sleep hasn't been as bad, but that would be something that I would recommend. So 3 to 5 milligrams of melatonin. And then you also mentioned, you know, should you eat something at 3 a.m. and then try to get back to sleep? Oof, that's a dangerous one because, you know, you're already in a pretty cognitively impaired state, perhaps a little bit groggy, perhaps not really with your wits about you and in your kind of conscious mind. So I feel like that would be setting you up for potential, you know, high caloric density foods, or, you know, just mindless eating where, you know, you're not really focused on getting the right macros. And again, think about it. If you're then trying to plan out a meal or grab something and enter it into your phone so that you don't forget, that's totally waking you back up, you know. So if you could avoid it, I would say try not to get out of bed unless you need a quick sip because you're dehydrated or go to the bathroom. But I wouldn't get into that habit. It's just going to mean that you've got more work to do in terms of your caloric restriction during the day. So I don't know whether that answers that question for you well, but it is just part and parcel of dieting. And I think it's really underestimated just how much it does impact your sleep. But if you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, why wouldn't our bodies be trying to get us to eat if we are that, you know, undernourished? If you've enjoyed listening to this video, make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and feel free to leave me a question in the comments section below for future Q&A episodes.